Good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to Poland Weekly Business Focus program. Today we are going to talk about Poland's road to circularity. Today my guest is Agnieszka Sznyk, President of the Board at Innowo, Circular Economy expert and member of coordinating group at European Circular Economy Stakeholder Platform.
Good morning.
Good morning. Well, I think last year we talked, you also published Circular Gap Report for Poland, which actually indicated that Poland can gain a lot in terms of transforming into the circular model of the economy, beneficial for citizens, beneficial for businesses if they see the carrots. So today I would like to talk about maybe a little bit, come back to your recommendations in the report, because I remember that you indicated 6 different areas where actually there are the fastest gains, let's say quick wins in terms of the transforming into the circular economy. So I think maybe let's go back to what you recommended last year and where we are now in terms of maybe stepping up in this regard. So let's bring in those areas and let's discuss them step by step. We can start actually with built environment, which was named as the major one in the report.
Absolutely. Construction sector, I think, is the one which needs the most change, and there is the biggest opportunities, I think, at the moment to really become more circular when we're looking at product and construction material, the construction strategy actually. So there is like a lot of opportunities, and there is like, I think, the first sector which we mentioned in our report. We also at the moment conducting like the big pan-European project funded from German Ministry of Climate. It's about implementing and developing different construction strategies which can help to transform the construction sector into more sustainable. So when you look at the legislation level at first place, in Poland there will be the new law which the segregation and construction side will be obligatory. Mm-hmm. So we have to look at least for the 6th fraction, which is glass, metal, plastics, and mineral materials. And these fractions must be segregated, as I said, on the construction side. So there is like a first very good, I think, sign of change in this area. But on the European level, at European Commission, also there is new regulation which is supposed to get into the force next year about construction product, and there will be more obligation on information, on material passport. Then we can really track and trace different products which are more sustainable. There will be different change in the public procurement criteria. Yes, mm-hmm. So more green criteria will be implemented in this all public procurement process, which also allow and support different sustainable companies to scale up, let's say. So this is, I think, the main change.
And the construction sector, what's the attitude? I mean, of course, normally when you do such new regulations, you do the consultancy with different stakeholders, and whether there is a will to change, or do you see, because I mean, still, of course, we are under construction, yes, and we still, in terms of the residential projects, in terms of manufacturing, so there is still a way to.
Yes,
to
I think there is like the more and more aware mm-hmm. stakeholders in this sector. We also organize a few workshops already under this project which I mentioned. So there is like a lot of interest from mm-hmm. the construction company, from
so
investor.
They understand that the world is changing, and they just
understand
have to.
They understand that they have to change, mm-hmm. let's say, and I think they will. They already prepare. Of course, this is very complex area, mm-hmm. and there is like many different opinions. Of course, there is some kind of reluctance. Mm-hmm. That's always we don't like change.
Yes,
but I see the big understanding, I think, for this necessity. Mm-hmm. Let's say yes. So I really look, for the future in the bright colors in this sector, and of course it needs time because it's not a sector which you can change mm-hmm. from day 0 to day 1, but it started already.
Especially there are a lot of big enterprises, international companies, but also small ones, yes, and probably the level of this awareness and attitude is probably different among those different groups.
Absolutely, and I think we don't have to forget about this CSRD directive, yes, mm-hmm. Which influence all kind of sectors about this sustainability reporting. Mm-hmm. So there will be whole value chains which must change, yes, and start to operate in more sustainable way. So I think this is influence and impact all kind of sectors, yes, from construction to bioeconomy, textile, etc.
Yeah, maybe we'll go back to the CSRD because I think it's a hot topic. I think we now switched from talking about ESG as a general concept to CSRD, which is more concrete for the businesses. It gives specific guidelines. But let's move to another part area that you mentioned, which is also food system. Yes, in Poland. What did you mean by that? What were the assumptions and what we can do about it?
So food system, we call actually bioeconomy sector. So bioeconomy sector is everything which is based on bioprocesses, yes? And food is a part of that, and this sustainable food production and sustainable food consumption. But there is also a big potential for different industrial symbiosis, because from this bio-waste, bioproduct, we can produce different materials for different sectors. For example, textile, for example, product for construction sector. So really we can combine and match these two areas to these two economy sector and try to really use these resources in the most efficient, effective way. So this is what we call bioeconomy. And actually in Poland there is not much going yet, although on the European Commission level also there will be revision of bioeconomy strategy in 2025. So I also was appointed as an expert and I try to bring some knowledge on the table to really advise what kind of different strategies could be implemented in this bioeconomy general strategy, because it's also very big topic and it's cover like a lot, like energy production, biogas production, yes, this food waste, food hubs in the cities to prevent the food waste, let's say, this is what I say, this industrial symbiosis, so cooperation between different sectors. So there is a lot which could be done, and Poland has a great potential in bioeconomy. There is also water and bioremediation, so how we can clean the water by using, for example, nature-based solution. So there is a lot of things which going on, but it must be a little bit more systemic approach to that, and also support from more systemic level to really help them scale up again and develop further.
But in this regard, from your perspective, who is the main shareholder of this change? I mean, for example, is it the retailers or agriculture? Or
everything, because as I said, this is, of course, it's also agriculture. I forgot to mention regenerative agriculture. So also we have few ministries which are in charge. First of all, Ministry of Agriculture, but also Ministry of Climate and Environment, Ministry of Economic Development. So this ministry must cooperate, although still I think there is very much in silos, which we discussed.
And from this cooperation, would you expect some systems that, for example, I don't know, you don't throw up the food, or what kind of actions exactly you would expect from this cooperation to happen?
Yes, there is, like, for example, new business can be established. Yes, so really new companies can be developed based on this new product, which could be like offer on the market. Yes.
So transferring, for example, things that for one is a waste to somebody
Absolutely.
else. Absolutely.
So
okay.
in the food sectors we have a lot of bio waste, let's say, and this bio waste we have technology to use them for different sectors. Yes. Now, for example, we don't need cotton anymore to produce textile. We can use all kind of bio waste which are produced in our field, and that's, for example, could be possibility to develop new business opportunities. So I can really see as a business opportunities for small medium enterprises, but also for big corporates. And country like Finland or Germany, they have their own bioeconomy strategy. We don't have it in Poland yet. And so we hope we can start.
That's actually interesting. So maybe let's switch a little bit to energy sector, because even recently here in the studio I had a conversation about biogas and biomethane, and that's really interesting. And that was exactly stated the same, that actually with Poland, we have such a huge potential in this area, does not have actually a strategy for this part of the sector. We have a hydrogen strategy, different others, offshore, onshore, right? But in this regard, where actually everything is in place.
Actually, you're right, because this offshore, this hydrogen, it's a little bit vague, and really, like, I think long-term perspective, I must say. And this is like biogas is low-hanging fruit, yes. And we have a lot substrate. We have a lot of resources to really produce this biogas. Yes, and in Germany, this sector is like very well developed. There is a lot of biogas plants. In Poland, we have almost none, just like, you know, a few hundreds, let's say. There have like few thousand. So also there is a legislation problem, yes? So not each substrate can go to these bio plants to produce biogas. So we also now discussing how to change the law that and allow more resources to go to this biogas production. So also this discussion with Ministry of Agriculture, which now are conducted. So let's hope we can open this opportunity soon.
And in this energy transition also that is related to this circular economy. Last year when we talked, you said that there is much more going on the municipality level than on the national level. And I'm wondering that if it's something also that can be shaped by the local governments or actually, you know, to really move it forward, we need specific regulations on the national scale.
Regarding biogas, I think we need first of all change in legislation, yes, to open this door for the more substrate, which could be like transfer into.
So it's not
into
project
biogas.
per project, but
yes, that's need a systemic change. So municipalities, I think they can't do it by themselves. Although, of course, there is, for example, biomass from the gastronomy, HoReCa sector, yes? And that could be a little bit, let's say, shaped by municipalities and to not end up in this, like, you know, municipal waste, but to be segregated as well. Because there is very clean, and then we can really transfer it into biogas. So there is like a few niche which could be developed by municipalities, and some of them, like Krakow, for example, they already implement some solution for that.
Okay, so now another area, rethinking mobility, that was stated in the report. So what did you mean and where we are with this? I mean, my observation is that we are now talking about new mobility, not e-mobility. So I don't know whether it's also a little bit about this or...
Yes, although it's not my favorite topic.
Okay.
Because I have some doubts about this e-mobility still. I'm not sure is it like really like the best direction which we should go now as it is a big trend, yes, for this e-mobility. That's I'm not sure, you know, reading different analysis, different reports. Maybe we should rethink it. Yes, of course, the best way is stop to move or transport ourselves. Yes, I heard once the lecture of some professors that we should change the paradigm of mobility and
go back to being local people.
Yes. But maybe
I think it's impossible.
But I think so too. That's impossible. But also there is one more problem because we have not enough resources even to build or to produce these e-cars, let's say electric
batteries
cars,
especially.
yes, and the batteries. So there is also critical raw materials which are needed for producing these batteries, but we don't have that many in the planet. So you know, if everyone now change the car on this electric car, sorry, we don't have resources for that. And I think this is also a problem with all energy sector and these all renewables that we start to notice that we don't have resources to really build this all, I don't know, wind farm or the solar panels. Just we have to think about it more.
In this regard, biogas is actually excellent, and
absolutely.
it's also stable, I think, source of energy and not dependent
yes, absolutely.
on the weather
and it's
conditions.
Also on this bio product, which is also renewable. So absolutely, yes. So that's some issues which has now come up, and you know, in circular economy there is nothing black and white. Yes, you always have to look, you know, on the long-term perspective and to be cautious at some point.
But do you see it happening? That because we know that sometimes it's okay to just say that we don't know exactly what's the best solution, but do you at least see that people are, you know, gathering, you know, with different shareholders to look for those solutions? Because in principle, I think that, you know, in terms of technology, I believe that we already invented so much that anything that would be required is possible to invent. Yes. And then I'm wondering, but sometimes it's just about putting the right people at the table to find the solution, maybe put it into some regulations, and sometimes, you know, guide others what they can do.
Absolutely, because there's a lot of technology, like, you know, great technology which could be implemented. But this is also what I question and I ask myself, you know, why they not scaling up still, yes? We still really attached with the old school method, yes, of producing different things. And the corporates, maybe they talk a lot, you know, they have this a little bit greenwashing, but they not really change the business model in general, yes? Maybe they do some project, like a small project on the small scale, then of course they promote it very broadly, but really they don't change the method of the of producing things, let's say. So that's sometimes the question, because I heard and I read a lot of different great technology, but still they're not scaling up in the right level, yes, extent.
Maybe it's a matter of financing, that if you don't have proper regulations and long-term strategies, then it's really hard to gain financials for things that are maybe under question mark,
Yes, no, it's still like, primary resources are less expensive than the secondary materials, yes, and that's why we still rely on these primary resources and not really shift faster to this secondary material.
And also, I think it's a little bit a discussion about the competitiveness of, for example, European Union versus, I don't know, China and other continents, I remember also last year on our ambassadors debate, I think it was German ambassador who said that it's great to have such a discussion, but we should actually also bring to that discussions people from outside of the European Union countries, also to give their perspective on how they see things.
Yeah, but actually China are very much developed in the circular economy, and this is what we want to also invite Chinese perspective to our Circular Week in October. Yes, so we already talked with some experts to bring them on the table and show that it's not that only Europe it's really thinking about this sustainable use of resources, but China see this problem as well, and they already have some project around it. So I hope that I will be managed to bring some best practice from China to show that we are not abandoned island, yes, on the planet.
Yeah, because sometimes there is the perception that we regulate toward this, Green Deal and everything, and the world is going completely different direction.
But we are not the one. And actually, the circular economy at first place was implemented in the European Union to become more competitive than China, to make our product, because we really now at the moment we are really have big difficulties to compete, yes, with Chinese. Their economy is much more faster, they much agile or whatever. So that concept was really bringing to the force to really make our economy more competitive.
Well, so looking forward for the Circular Week, there will be a time to invite our viewers to this event, definitely. Okay, so let's maybe move to another topic, which is very important for Poland, manufacturing, because of course we have very strong sector. Sometimes we talk about nearshoring, so we expect actually more this type of investment to come, so new facilities in the due course might appear. So what's your takeaway on that?
With the manufacturing, I think that there is like the bigger awareness, yes, of the problem, and with this different directive, this is like, for example, this packaging and packaging waste directive, yes, regulation actually. So it must be implemented in all national law exactly how it was designed in European Commission. So they also have to adjust, and also I think in manufacturing you can see the benefit in the shorter term perspective, because this is about optimization of production, yes, so less use of water, less use of energy. So I think also this is easier to convince the manufacturer
and
to
also
produce.
With the financial pressure that the cost of all these resources are growing, so that's also
so they see their benefits, economic benefits in that, so that's why maybe it's easier to change the production of goods for the more sustainable way. Absolutely.
And maybe let's go back for a moment to this CSRD directive. I mean, do you see it really in the heart of the discussion about bringing in circular models, or do people, combine those two areas, put them into the one basket, or it's just CSRD still in general awareness, more like a concept, and then life goes as it is? Because of course, with the European standards, there are specific guidelines what you have to report, and sometimes it gives you a tip where are the KPIs, and then you can actually set up the strategies to the KPIs, which you probably as a company would like to have a good positive impact, right?
No, circular economy is one of them, yes. Is one of these RSRS.
Yes.
So absolutely. There is one about the climate, and the one connected with the climate. If you don't want to report that, you have to really explain why. Yes, you have to justify why you want to skip that. So that's good actually. One thing which worries me, let's say, because now there is also great discussion around it, but we just see this reporting as a goal per se. Yes, we don't really think about how to change our business model, how to change our processes, but just how to report in the proper manner. Let's say. So we only focus on this part, but this is just a tool. Yes, this is just a tool which should like force companies, businesses to be more sustainable, and we shouldn't forget about it. So we'll see how it's going to look like. Yes, no, at the moment this year only the big companies which already did some sustainability reporting on the stocks exchange, for example, have to prepare this report. So that's maybe not big change, but the next years the other companies have to also report their sustainability processes and how much sustainable they are. And it's, I think, influence also whole value chain, because about this footprint, carbon footprint, which they have to calculate, everyone have to report some data. But yeah, we have to really think not about the reporting as reporting and as the goal which we have to achieve, but just to really change how we produce our goods. Yeah.
And looking on our Polish market, do you have some good practices that you already, can show as a benchmarks, to attract others, to follow? Even if it's a small scale, you mentioned, but sometimes maybe it's, step-by-step approach, and you need to start with the small scale.
There are a few companies, yes, which are already developed, like, for example, Viva Textile. It is a company in Kielce which try to recycle the textile, the clothes. And they really succeed, actually. They already pretty big, and they really focus on how to make the textile sector more sustainable. So they collect textile and they try to give them the new life. So they operating on the few fields. I think there is like more and more construction companies which really look at this sustainable way, and Polish construction companies really start to change their mind. I think this is also like the best practice. Although I think we need still this systemic approach. Regulations to really show the SMEs that it could be profitable, yes, and it's really makes sense, yes, because now I think there is what is lacking. This is low awareness in these small medium enterprises. They focus on everyday operation, and they don't see
in quite challenging times. I mean, uncertain in many areas.
Yes, absolutely.
On the other hand, the best moment to change, if there are so many doubts,
yes,
or maybe. But I also think that, do you think, because of course regulations sometimes it's a long-term process. You mentioned, of course, that there are some directives that, for example, now will have to be implemented in Poland, maybe others as the local initiatives. Yes, that's what you expect. But do you think that also education is an issue? Because on one hand you can have regulations, but I can observe that in many areas, then if you don't have a proper education next to it, I mean, that you really explain to our shareholders why they should follow those regulations, not just because they have to, but really explain them the bigger picture, then you have to wait quite a lot of time before you see the results. And is it something also from your perspective as building even the general awareness of circular economy? Do you think that business people, they see it? Is it something obvious for them that at least this concept exists?
I think that, of course, education is important, but education also takes a lot of time to really change the mindset. I see that for me the legislation is the most effective tool. I'm sorry to say, but it's when we have a change in legislation, immediately it's brought in interest, yes, of every company, and there is like a big buzz around it. Like we have this deposit scheme system, yes, when we have this packaging directive that everyone is interested, and everyone now start to talk about it. So we should, of course, follow that with education, but it takes time, yes. And also what I think that we shouldn't put responsibility on consumers, yes. It's not our fault, and we are just people. I think the business should have like the most responsibilities about the operation, yes. But now it's easy and it's very convenient to push, this burden on us, on normal consumers. Stop doing that, don't travel, don't eat that.
Change your habits.
Change your habit, and we think that now we are okay. okay if we start to make this education campaign for people. Even now there is discussion if we really should calculate the personal carbon footprint. That maybe it's not the case. We really should more focus on the system and on a business and on a big scale, because there is a real change, I think.
Well, living with the feeling of guilt all the time, it's not probably the best quality of life we can have. So
Absolutely.
that's really something that we should balance a little bit. Okay, well, so do you see these regulations as something that can come into Poland reasonably quickly, something that will give you a boost, to change the habits? Or
I think
the discussions are there?
Step by step. Of course, we'll see, because we have new parliament, will be new commission. And there is a little bit probably different change in forces, let's say. So maybe this green topic not be as much important as it is now. We'll see. There is kind of doubts that maybe, of course, the security topics are now like on the priority level. It's obvious. So. We'll see, but already this regulation which come into the force, have to be implemented in Poland, and they will influence or impact the Polish business.
Okay, so I think now it's the time to tell about this year Circular Week that will happen in October.
In October, last week in October, from 2nd to 25th of October, we will invite quite a few remarkable speakers from all over Europe, from World Bank, for example, from European Commission, so from China, I hope. So you can join us and discuss, all kind of sustainability topics, and also learn about the best practice from all over Europe.
Yes, and sometimes business with best practices can be much faster than regulations. So
Absolutely.
Let's hope that we'll have regulations in place and business showing the best practices, and then all together will make a positive change for all of us.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.